Hello, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, as well as Venus placements. I hope you're well. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Jen with Timeline Tarot, and this is your timeless message from your future self. The reason why this message is timeless is because it is relevant for whenever you find it and you choose to view it. It is a collective general reading, so as the messages come through today, just take what fits, leave what doesn't, because if it's not your message, it simply means it's meant for someone else watching. And also check your other placements. If you don't know what they are, in the description box is a link where you can obtain your free birth chart. With all of that said, let's begin. Tapping into the Scorpio collective, Sun, Moon, babies, rising, as well as Venus. What would Scorpio's future self like to tell them at the time of this reading, at the time they view this reading? What would Scorpio's future self like them to know? Let's get one more shuffle here for you. Thank you. You have routine, card number 42. And at the bottom of the deck, you have influence, card number 25. So I'm going to read the meanings of these oracle cards from the Urban Crow Oracle book here, and then we'll dive deep into tarot to get you a message. Routine. Every morning, I watch the crows return to my neighborhood, and every evening, I see them as they depart. It is like clockwork. The crows have a routine that they have stuck with for as long as I can remember. Routine speaks to the things we do out of habit because it is part of who we are, what is expected of us. In many ways, it is routine that creates stability. However, it can also lead to stagnation or getting into a rut. Ask yourself, are you in a routine that makes a foundation for success, or are you merely going through the motions because you don't know what else to do? Card number 25, influence. Like impressionable teenagers, crows pick up on our habits, even the bad ones. Crows have been known to get drunk as well as smoke. Are you letting someone influence your behavior? There is a loss of control when influence is at play. A more dominant personality may make you feel inclined to engage in a risky behavior you would otherwise avoid. On the flip side, you may find someone strong and healthy to be inspirational, and because of their influence, you too feel motivated to make some positive changes. Influence brings to your awareness the decisions that you may not have made if it weren't for an outside force leading the way. Like a Pied Piper leading the way with intoxicating music, you may be caught in another spell. A situation, whether it be current, from the past, or in the near future, may be the result of someone's charm or talent at swaying people. When influence appears, consider taking a moment to examine if you have been swayed into making a decision that you might not have made if the situation were different. For example, a salesperson may influence your decision to buy something you can't afford if they know the right way to manipulate you. I have a group of you here where you are allowing some external force here, some person, let's just call it a person, to influence your routine, how you're doing something or not doing something, how you're engaging with a person, how you're not engaging with a person. Let's see where we go with this message. Tell me more about this. Routine and influence for the Scorpio collective. Oh, okay. That's an idea for another reading. Okay, thank you. All right, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, as well as Venus placements. Clarify, please, card number 42, routine, and card number 25, influence, from Scorpio's future self. Clarify this further. One more shuffle here. Thank you. We have the 10 of Cups, we have the Fool, and we have the 4 of Cups. We have the Magician, we have Temperance, and we have the 3 of Swords. The bottom of the deck, you have the 8 of Swords, you have the Moon, and you have the 5 of Pentacles. That leaves the 3 of Pentacles, Judgment, Knight of Pentacles to Justice at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so what I heard before when I was like, oh, that's a good message that I could do for another reading. So it's interesting. I'm not sure if this has anything to do with your reading today, but I was meditating this morning with my grounding shoes on that I have on right now. And I was meditating, and what came to me was something about false prophets. Look, I'm not calling myself a prophet. I'm not calling other tarot readers a prophet, but some people do look to tarot readers like the end all be all about what's going on in my life and what should I do and what is he doing and what is she doing and what are they doing behind my back. And sometimes we forget these are collective general readings. They may not apply to us. You know, a general collective reading means all of it could apply, some of it could apply, or no part of it could apply. And I have caught myself in the past looking at general collective readings and making decisions in my relationship based on that reading. And I wasn't prophetalizing the tarot reader, but they are a trusted guide for me, right? I turn to their readings frequently like you do. I just think we need to have a little bit discernment. I don't know if that's going to be part of your reading today, but that's what I wanted to share with you. Maybe only one of you needed to hear that. And I think I'm going to do a separate video on that. I'm not saying tarot is bad, and I certainly don't want you to stop watching my channel. But I also think we need to use discernment when, to be able to, not with our mind, not with our heart, not from a place of fear, but really using our intuition to say, yes, that's my message, or no, that's not my message. And not allow tarot to dictate how you interact with a person or people or the decisions you make about your relationships, your partnerships, or your money. It should be used as a guide. It should be used as a tool, and just glean the information from it that you need. But then make your own decisions. I feel like someone out there had to hear that. Okay, let's get back to your message now. Routine and influence. For the Scorpio collective, so yes, I will do a different video, a different reading for that. Okay. For the Scorpio collective, from their future self, Sun, Moon, Rising, as well as Venus placements. Can you clarify this message further, please, for Scorpio? We are clarifying 10 of Cups, the Fool, 4 of Cups, the Magician, Temperance, and the 3 of Swords. This message from Scorpio's future self. One more shuffle here. Thank you. 10 of Cups is clarified by the 4 of Cups. The Fool is clarified by the 8 of Pentacles. The 4 of Cups is clarified by the Sun. The Magician is clarified by the Wheel of Fortune. Temperance is clarified by the Knight of Pentacles. And the 3 of Swords is clarified by the Knight of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, you have Temperance, you have the 6 of Cups, and you have the 9 of Cups. And that leaves Judgment, discernment here at the bottom of the deck. I don't think this message is on par with the other message that I just got, but I do think some of you needed to hear it. And maybe that's why I felt inclined to share it with you. This message is a little bit different. You are allowing something, and it could be a person. I don't know who this King of Cups is, and they don't have to be king. They could be a queen, and they don't have to be a water sign. But the feeling that I get here is there is an influence of at least one other person here in your life, for good or for bad. I'm not saying this person is a bad person. I'm not saying they're a good person. But they are directly and indirectly affecting your routine, particularly how you spend your time and how you spend your money and how you create money. Someone's having a significant impact on your pentacle resources, your time, your love, your money, your talent. You're siphoning energy here, or someone is siphoning energy off of you. And I don't know if they're doing it maliciously. We're going to clarify this more. But you control your pentacle resource. You control your time. You control your love. You control your talent. I kind of feel like you put it in the hands of someone else. It could be a boss. It could be a friend. It could be a lover. But you're leaking happiness, or you're leaking money, or you're something like that is being siphoned out of the Scorpio collective. 10 of Cups to the 4 of Cups. It's like you're striving for this end goal of happiness, and you're not finding it. And I think you're not finding it because I think you're dedicated to the wrong thing. I'm not telling you to break up with your person. I'm not telling you to quit your job. What I am telling you is you need to have a new beginning. I mean, you don't need to do anything. This is your message from your future self. Your future self is saying the routine that you currently have is not working, and yet you keep doing it over and over and over again. And it's like, it's time to utilize our time differently. It's time to not overgive. And it's time to put our energy and our time in a different direction. Again, doesn't mean you have to break up with your person, but it does mean that you can't allow them to monopolize your time, because time is money. And some of you are financially hurting because you're not putting time where it should be spent. Like you're not maybe fully focused at your job, or you're not using spare time to learn something new, or you're not utilizing time to take care of yourself. Some of you spend a lot of time on one person, thinking about them, waiting on them, waiting for them. I don't know. There's a lot of wait energy here. And the goal is because I'm going to be happy, but it's like, but you really aren't happy. So I think there's a new beginning here that's trying to come in to say, hey, let's start over. And this is what your future self is saying, like, hey, starting tomorrow, let's have a better routine. Let's make better choices on how we spend our time. Instead of existing in the 4 of Cups, let's dump out that old routine. That's not working for you anymore. Let's heal that wound. That wound where anyone can come along whenever they want and siphon our pentacle resources. Something here about being a little bit more regimented with our schedule or our commitments. No, it's funny, before he was going to stop by and I was going to start the Libra reading, and he was supposed to be here at 3, and then it turned into 4, and then it turned into 5, And I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. I was very clear with him. I was going to start recording at 3, and then here I am at 5 o'clock. I'm not recording. And I was like, you know what? I just have to do it. So I sent him a text. I said, I haven't heard from you, so I'm going to start working. And that was it. Just started working. So I recorded Libra. It's uploading. I think it'll be released on Wednesday. This will be released on Wednesday as well. This is Sunday. And he was like, and he responded back, well, the time changed and I had to go here and I had to go there. I know, but you were supposed to be here at 3. So I did not make good use of my time management. And as a result, I lost 2 hours of work, which means I'm probably going to be recording until midnight now to get all of these done. But that's on me. I allowed him to siphon time away from me. And he didn't do it maliciously. He didn't sit there and go, okay, well, let me come up with 5 different things that I can do right now to screw up her recording schedule. But I allowed it. So I allowed him to influence me, or I was going to say my commitment to him, right behind that's commitment, my commitment to him to influence me. And it's like, no, I should have stuck to my routine. I had a specific schedule for Sunday, and I'm behind now by 2 hours because of it. So something like that here is happening for many of you. So Magician to the Wheel of Fortune. What you want comes in, whether this is emotional abundance, financial abundance, or both. But we have to start doing things differently. Jupiter rules that Wheel of Fortune card, or oversees it. Or is it, Wheel of Fortune card is attributed to Jupiter. Get it right, Mercury retrograde. And Jupiter will expand anything it's in. So if you are wasting your time, guess what Jupiter does? It's going to make you waste your time even more. And this could even be in terms of like eating better, like healthier habits, getting into a routine to exercise or eat better. Or, it's just, there's something here in your life that you could be more committed to in respect to your stability. There, you can create a strategy, you can create a plan, you can create a routine, something here that you stick by. And it doesn't have to be so regimented that you feel like you're in the military, up at 5 a.m., bed made by 5:30, in the shower and in uniform by 6:15. Like, it doesn't have to be that regimented, but it does need to be, there needs to be some order to it, balanced order, not chaos, not regimented, not, well, I'm doing this at 3 o'clock, and if he shows up at 3:10, fuck him. Like, not that kind of regimented. I'm starting this at 3 o'clock. If he happens to show up 10 or 15 minutes later, it's okay. I'm not going to work until 5 o'clock because I'm just going to sit around looking at the watch waiting. Like, okay, why aren't you home yet? Come on, thought you were going to come home. Thought we were going to eat before I started work. Like, so there's something like that here at play. You can do it in a balanced way. It can be flexible, but it needs to be a routine. It doesn't have to be hardcore military regimented. If you're going to learn tarot, it doesn't have to be 5 o'clock on Friday for 2 hours. And it doesn't matter what happened. My house could be on fire. Fuck it. I'm not going to worry about it because the next 2 hours are dedicated to learning tarot. Like, there can be flexibility there in that temperance energy. There can be compromise there, but it's still Friday at some point. I'm going to allocate 2 hours for tarot. Again, whatever this is for you, I just feel, and it could be exercise. No one's telling you have to exercise every day. How about once a week? Every Wednesday for 20 minutes. If that's all you can do, that's fine. You can do it 3 times a week, do it 3 times a week. Just create the schedule. And if something happens on Wednesday and you can't, then make sure you do it on Thursday. That's what I mean about the flexibility. But at least you have a routine where at the end of the week, you can look back and say, you know what? I did exercise 3 days this week. Maybe it wasn't the exact 3 days that I originally had planned at the start of the week because things come up. Maybe it wasn't 3 mornings in a row. Maybe it was 3 evenings or 2 evenings in a morning. Again, stay flexible in that temperance energy, but stay committed to it in the Knight of Pentacles. 3 of Swords to the King of Cups. I actually think that this will improve your relationship with yourself and with the other people in your life. Now we can begin to clarify. Almost 15 minutes into the reading. The Fool. Tell me about this new beginning. Because again, we have temperance here to that 6 of Cups and 9 of Cups. There's something that we're doing, again, that needs to be more regimented or more routine based. We're currently not doing it. We have to leave the not doing it in the past. The 6 of Cups is leaving it in the past. Then we will be emotionally happy and content. And when we're happy, or when we're coming from a place of true emotional contentment, that's not codependent or coming from an external source. We're just proud of ourselves because we woke up and we did what we were supposed to do today. Of course, that's going to trickle into all of our other relationships. Then you're not going to hold animosity when he or she is late, because you're like, well, I still got my stuff done. So there's something like that. And this could even be a simple routine. I started a routine probably about a year ago. I prior to a year ago, there were days I would make my bed when I woke up and days I wouldn't. It would be like a whole week would go by. And then it's like, well, why bother making the bed? Because today I'm going to change the sheets. Like I always had an excuse. Oh, the cat's sleeping. I don't want to bother him. Speaking of which, he's sleeping over there on the lounge chair. But I would always make, Sammy, I would always make excuses why I couldn't do it. But about a year ago, I decided I wake up if he's next, sleeping because, my person's already up and about. So if the cat, I was going to say his name, he doesn't want his name mentioned. So I'm sorry. So I always have to refer to him as my person. But if the cat is sleeping, I can pick him up. I put him on the little chair on the other side of the room and I make the bed. And that is my routine now. I wake up and I make the bed. That's the first thing I do. There's nothing else that I do but wake up and make the bed. It could just be something simple like that. I think that you'll just feel successful if you can implement something like that at the start of your day. Okay, now the Fool. Clarify the Fool, please, for moon babies. Someone got offended at that turn too. Well, not everyone is a Scorpio moon. Okay. Sun moon babies, rising in Venus. Clarify the Fool card. One more shuffle here. Thank you. The Fool is clarified by the Three of Wands. The Four of Swords, healing that wound. Two cards come out. We're going to take them. Strength to the Nine of Wands and holding our ground on it. That is the new beginning. The new beginning is I'm going to move forward. Oh, Seven of Swords. Emperor. I'm not going to sabotage myself. Eight of Pentacles. I'm not going to sabotage myself or allow someone to sabotage how I spend my time or even how I spend my money. I mean, this could be someone who takes advantage of you financially. Whatever this is for you, you need to have a routine. Three of Wands, the Sun in Aries. Something about like from this moment forward, moving forward, I'm going to heal that past wound of allowing my time or my resources to be siphoned or, energy leaked away from me. I'm going to be strong here. And I'm going to stand my ground in the Nine of Wands. I've learned from those past wounds. I've learned from those past lessons. I've healed that wound. That is the wounded healer. There's Chiron for you. So I think for some of you, this is a wound you have. That is what your future self is saying. And your relationship with yourself and your relationship with other people will be far better and healthier because you're putting yourself first, not in an egotistical way or in a selfish way, but in a, I'm important too. Taking care of myself is important and taking care of my responsibilities is important. Eight of Pentacles. Tell me about this. I think this is a skill we need to master or a skill we need to learn and implement. Tell me more about this. One more shuffle. Yeah, the Lovers. It's a choice. The Lovers, the Knight of Wands, and the Seven of Wands. And some people, Emperor shows themselves again. That's two cards there. Some people, or maybe a person, is going to push back on it. And this could even play out at the workplace where you have a boss that consistently asks you to work overtime, or you have a coworker who's consistently asking you to fill in on Saturdays because he or she can't work on a Saturday. And it's like, at some point we have to say, no, those are your hours. I can fill in for you if you're sick or you have a family emergency, but I didn't take the job to work every Saturday. So there's something here in being able to say no, moving forward and being able to say no. And when people cross their bounds, to do it in a loving way with that Lover's card. Again, we don't have to be aggressive. We don't have to be a-holes over it. But it's no. And it's like what I said to him at 5 o'clock. I've spent enough time waiting for you. And my fault. Shame on me. But I'm just going to start recording and we can eat later. That's it. Or if you want to get something to eat on the way home, you can do that. So there's something like this about holding our ground. And even when people try to push a little bit, whether it's the boss, it's the friend, it's the landlord, to just say, no, I'm sorry. I have a routine. If your routine is to go for a walk every evening at 6 p.m., and now you have a friend, it's not an emergency. They just want to hang out. No, I'm sorry. I have a routine. If you want to come with me, you can walk with me. It's 6 p.m., but I'm not going to give up my routine to just hang out on the couch with you for no reason. You're not having an emergency. There's nothing, existential going on in your life. So just because you don't have something to do doesn't mean that I don't have something to do. Doesn't mean that I don't have a routine. So I think we need to stop allowing people that we are in commitment with, whether it's professional, platonic, or romantic, to influence us or to make us break our routine. Temperance, doing this in a more balanced way and being flexible. Again, we don't have to be so rigid, but we do have to stick to this routine. Temperance. Tell me more about temperance here. One more shuffle here. Thank you. And some of you are of the belief that if I do this, I'm going to lose this person or lose these people. Look at the Eight of Swords, the Moon, and the Five of Pentacles. Oh, if I can't see him now, I won't be able to see him for another 3 days. Oh, if I don't work Saturday, I might never be asked to work overtime again. You're allowing doubts, fears, and anxieties of being abandoned or being shunned or being ghosted to prevent you from creating a routine and sticking to that routine. I think that's what our future self or selves is trying to tell us. Tell me about temperance. And it's like, no, actually the opposite happens. The right people stay and you're far happier and you're you're better balanced and your connections to these soulmates and soul bonds become healthier. Tell me about temperance here. One more shuffle. Thank you. If we don't respect our time, how could we expect anyone else to respect our time? Three of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck, Six of Swords. Yeah, being flexible in that Knight of Cups. Three of Pentacles, this is what I'm working on. Queen of Pentacles, this is what I'm nurturing. But if I need some flexibility, then you can be flexible a little bit. Knight of Pentacles would be very regimented. But the Knight of Cups, there is some flexibility there. So again, there's something here about let's maintain balance in doing this. Tell me about this routine here with the Knight of Pentacles. One more shuffle here. Thank you. Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. Clarified by the Eight of Wands, Judgment again, and the Devil detaching from that habit. Tower. I mean, this changes the landscape for us. And this could even be financially. You know, I have a brother who's been in a lot of trouble since September. And I send him a set amount of money every Thursday to help him. And there are times that 2 days later, he calls me and he tells me, I have no money. Well, and then he's like, well, I need it. You know, I need another payment. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. I give you a set amount every Thursday. It's on you to be responsible and use that money to buy food. You want to fuck around on a Friday night or whatever, you know, you're doing, you're blowing your money on stuff that you don't need. I'm not a bank here. This is not the bank of Jen. So I had to be very stern with him a few times. Like I said, I would help you, but that means I have some boundaries. Now the old me would have went into debt helping him out, but I'm like, this time around, I'm not going to do it. I am going to have a routine. I am going to have this schedule, if you will, of giving him help or giving him charity, whatever it is that you want to call. I had to detox from that behavior that I had, that pattern that I had. So this is telling you to create Knight of Pentacles, create the plan, the strategy, you know, the routine here, and detach from this toxic trait that you have. At least this is what our future self is trying to tell us. Move forward, making the judgment call, and be very mindful of your time, or be very mindful of your money or of your resources, however you define them. Now, Three of Swords to the King of Cups. Tell me about that Three of Swords, because this is you always feeling heartbroken because I overgive. I spend my money and the person I give it to doesn't appreciate it, or the people I give it to doesn't appreciate it. I spend my time and the person doesn't appreciate it. They don't care that I just spent 3 hours waiting for them, you know, and we are the ones that end up heartbroken. This is us, whether we're masculine or feminine. And it's like, but we're doing it to ourselves because we're not respecting our time or our money enough. How in the world could we expect anyone else to respect it? My brother doesn't know how long it takes me to make $1. So for him to call me and be like, oh, send me $100 or send me 20, no, it's not the bank. Not a bank. Three of Swords. One more shuffle here. Thank you. Three of Swords is clarified by Ace of Pentacles. Everything I said is the truth. Hangman and the Queen of Swords. Yeah, it's time for us to see this from another perspective. We are essentially breaking our own heart in respect to not creating a routine, or if we create a routine, we don't stick by it. And we need to see this clearly. We're doing this. This is even like going to work and not being 100% focused on your work. And then there are, you know, promotions and raises that come and go, but they don't come your way. And you're like, well, why am I not being acknowledged? Because you're not putting 100% of yourself into your work. Why would you be rewarded? If you were an employer, would you, you know, give a raise or a promotion to an employee who's 50% of the time checked out of their job because they're thinking about some person, or, you know what I mean? So it's even like just siphoning our energy that way, or our mental capacity to focus on whatever it is that we need to work on in that moment. So I think it's impacting us in different ways. For some of us emotionally, for others of us it's time management, for others it's financial. But we're essentially doing it to ourselves, and I think that's what we need to see here. At least that's what future self is saying. Clarify King of Cups. One more shuffle. Thank you. Page of Swords, Ace of Wands, and the Eight of Swords. Freeing ourselves. This was a lesson. And I don't know if it was this one person had to teach us this lesson or a series of people. I mean, I think for some of you, you went through a bunch of people here that just took and took and took. And you always gave because you were afraid that if the day came that you didn't, that they would walk out of your life. Let them. They weren't meant for you. If someone has to drain your bank account, how is that love? They're going to squander your time. How is that love? And how are you loving yourself if you allow it to happen? So 8 of Swords, the Moon, and the 5 of Pentacles. This is a deep-seated abandonment fear here in the Scorpio collective, that if I don't do this, I'll lose the job, or I'll lose the person, or I'll lose the opportunity. And I think future self is saying, but you're losing yourself. Clarify 8 of Swords, the Moon, and the 5 of Pentacles. One more shuffle here. Thank you. 2 of Pentacles, 6 of Cups, and the Page of Pentacles. Bottom of the deck, Page of Cups. Yeah, I think there's a new way we need to learn how to do relationships. We need to be better balanced, balancing their need with what we can give at that time based upon our routine or our schedule or our commitments. Clarify this further, please. That's a new skill there in that Page of Pentacles. And again, it could be one person teaching you this. Oh, Ten of Swords, put that to bed. I love seeing that card. So your future self is saying, if you learn this lesson, it's not that no one will ever take advantage of you again. You won't be so easily led astray from your routine or your work schedule. You'll know when to stand up for yourself. You'll know when to be flexible, and you'll know when you can't be flexible because you'll be putting yourself first. But the days of allowing someone to just siphon time or money or whatever off of you, that comes to an end officially once you learn this lesson. One more shuffle here. Thank you. Love seeing that Ten of Swords there, the Moon. And an end to that fear. That's another thing we need to do. Ending that fear of abandonment, because we're abandoning ourselves by doing this. Oh, 8 of Cups, walk away. Walk away from existing that way, and walk away from the thought that if I don't continue to do this and disrupt my finances or disrupt my time or my schedule, that person's going to walk away from me, or I'm going to lose, the opportunity. Let them. It wasn't your person, and it wasn't your opportunity. If it was going to cost you money and cost you time, it wasn't meant for you. It wasn't meant for you. Temperance, 6 of Cups, and the 9 of Cups. 9 of Cups. Once you do this, you have better, healthier, more balanced relationships in your life, because you're operating from a place of happiness, and that happiness comes because you achieved your routine or your goal, or you stuck to the plan, you stuck to the schedule. And there's a feeling of accomplishment when you do that, and that improves all of your connections or the way you show up in them. One more shuffle here. Thank you. 2 of Wands, 3 of Cups, and the 7 of Cups. Bottom of the deck, you have Page of Wands. Clears up any confusion as well. Where's the other deck? Oh, there it is. Clarify this further, please. So we get to make a decision now, moving forward, when we can show up, when we can't show up, instead of just constantly showing up. Tell me more about this here. One more shuffle. Thank you. Ace of Pentacles, and that is the truth, Hermit, learning that valuable lesson. Queen of Wands, bottom of the deck, the Empress. And if we master this lesson, we never have to learn it again. Because I look at the Empress as there are different lessons in life that we have to learn. And once we learn one lesson, it doesn't mean that we become, whether you're masculine or feminine, it doesn't mean that you become the Empress now on everything in your life. But on this one lesson, you're the Empress, because now you'll have better time management or financial management here in your life. I think another thing with that influence card is not so much allowing person or a person or people to influence you. Stop allowing your fear of abandonment to influence you and to disrupt your routine. 3 cards of advice here for Scorpio, please. 3 cards of advice. One more shuffle here. Thank you. King of Cups, there you are again. King of Pentacles, ho ho. And the 7 of Swords, bottom of the deck, Judgment. I can't tell you how much I love this. Okay. There's something here about you. This is breaking free. Okay. When we look at it in terms of advice, it's almost like seeing the card upside down. So like something has been revealed to us. Okay. So in terms of advice, you, whether you're masculine or feminine, having better control, better discipline of your pentacle resources, doing it in a strategic way and making the judgment call to break free from this habit where you're going to allow other people to influence your routine or allow a fear of abandonment to get you to, to influence your routine or to disrupt your routine. Judgment, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Three of Wands to the Fool card. And so all the cards that were right here, literally can't make it up. The Fool card, the Eight of Pentacles, and then we saw that Judgment card. And you have the Three of Wands here as well. So there's definitely something here about moving forward, breaking free, or unshackling ourselves from a behavior that we had, that we have to essentially betray ourselves to keep someone in our life or to keep people happy. And it's like, no, the best way to do it is to stick to our routine, to guard our resources with incredible discipline. That's the judgment call. That's a new path forward. And your future self is saying that if you can do this, if this message resonates for you, not only will you be happier, but so will your the people that you are connected to. Your connections will improve exponentially. That is what I have for you, Scorpio, at this time from your future self. If you like that message, it resonates with you, you want to claim all or part of it, please be sure to click like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hype the video if you're able to do that. And until I read for you again, I am wishing you light, love, and peace.